Altitude adjustment is back. Mario Vitanzi, Patrick Chiotti, the best looking two dudes that talk about Broncos and other sports and everything else that you have ever seen in your God-given life. Patrick, I don't know if you know this. I don't know if you know this, Pat, but we have a really, really good show. If you thought last week was good, if you thought 2 weeks ago was good, if you thought the premiere 3 weeks ago was good, oh my God, do we have a show for you? Let's get to it.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a stick up.
As I said before, Mario Vitanzi, Patrick Chiotti. Pat, I don't know if you've heard this. I'm sure you have. We have been dubbed by some people out there in Broncos country, in Broncos nation, in Broncos universe as the Mile High Meatheads. And what's ironic about this, Patrick, is it was said as an insult. We were called meatheads by somebody, by multiple people who said it like in a derogatory way. So what do? We steer into the skid. So when people are trying to say, oh, you're just a couple of meatheads, we say, yes, that is correct. And you're sad that you are not a meathead. Yes. You are sad that you do not look like us. And that's okay. So from now on, Patrick, instead of getting all offended, instead of getting upset by people calling us meatheads, we're steering into the skid. We're now going to open every show claiming Mile High Meatheads. How do you feel about that?
I like Mile High Meatheads. It fits on a couple of different realms, right? Mile High being, Denver. Mile High also being my state of mind on most days. So it fits. I like it. The meathead part,
real dynamite stuff there, Pat. We get it. You smoke weed. It's fine.
Well, edibles are a little different. Everybody should take at least a little bite of a gummy every now and then. It might take the edge off of people sometimes.
What's up, Mile High Chase? Thanks for being here. First time being on a live with y'all two on here. My man Chase. You're going to love it. I guarantee it. If you guys want to comment, we'll probably show it unless it's stupid. Actually, I'll definitely show it if it's stupid, and then I'll probably make you feel stupid. So I'd like to apologize for that right up front. So, Pat, without any further ado, let's get right into it, all right? Okay. We promised the people. Yeah. We promised them. They were asking for it, and we're going to deliver. We promised the people that we would tell them why Bo Nix is the man to save this Broncos franchise, to resurrect this once proud franchise that has fallen on such hard times recently, Pat. Have you seen Bo Nix at rookie minicamp? Oh, my God. Build the statue right now, Pat. I'm ready for it. Build that 6'2", 215-pound solid marble statue right outside of Mile High Stadium. Just induct him already because he is our savior. Can I get a hallelujah? How excited are you, Pat?
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. Yeah, I tweeted earlier today that I am the chairman of the Bo Nix statue committee. It will indeed be a 6'2", probably a little more than 215-pound statue. Made of solid gold because, Walmart money and all that. I think the reports that came out of Bo Nix from rookie minicamp, honestly, pretty optimistic.
Pretty good.
Pretty good.
It's pretty good.
How much weight can we put into a rookie minicamp? Apparently
a lot, Pat. He's throwing dimes against no defense to dudes running about 70%. I'm all in.
Well, when you think about it, there's a lot of teams in the NFL that essentially should be playing without any defensive players because they're just so bad. That being one of them being the Denver Broncos, who could only really play with, one guy and probably still hold teams to, 35 points a game. But the fact that Bo Nix is out there just slinging the rock, not surprised. Greatest God's gift to football, honestly. Best quarterback that we have ever seen in any draft of all time.
Certainly in Denver. Certainly in Denver, Patrick.
Caleb Williams. Who is that? Who's that guy?
Swipe left.
He's not going to do anything, right?
Michael Penix.
Michael Penix. He's going to be getting his AARP checks by the time he gets his first start. Okay, we're not worried about it. Bo Nix. He's the savior, right? He threw 14. It's not 14. He threw 14 perfect passes in rookie minicamp. Give us the trophy already. Give it to us. I'm sold.
Ready for it. All right. Here's the thing. We wanted to start this show hot and get really excited because we wanted to illustrate to everybody how you shouldn't be at this point. Okay. Everything that Bo Nix is doing, don't get me wrong. You can absolutely be excited. You can absolutely build yourself up to have hope because that's the whole reason that you're a fan, right, Pat? Like, this is why we are a fan of teams, because you have blind, misguided faith in someone that has never played it down in the NFL. And that's okay. But we want to make sure that you temper your expectations almost to the point, Pat, that I kind of want to go out and recreate all of the throws Bo Nix made. Not to be condescending, not to poo-poo on his parade at all, but just to kind of illustrate to the people that it's like, look, you can be excited about Bo Nix, but if you're putting in a little bit too much stock into rookie minicamp, then you absolutely need to check yourself. And if you're wondering like what I'm talking about, go check out my Twitter @Vitanzi Therapy. It's the pinned tweet. Russell Wilson, a couple months ago, whenever he signed with Pittsburgh, of course, put out a hype training video because that's really all he's good at anymore. And of course, Steeler fans, they bought it hook, line, and sinker, just like the Bronco fans did with him. And so I went out and I did every single solitary thing that Russell Wilson did in his training video, just so everybody's caught up. So part of me wants to do that with Bo Nix, just to prove that it's like, again, be excited that the mental aspect is there, but everything that they're doing physically, like, Pat, the majority of people can complete a 20-yard pass when there's no defense and the receivers are running 70%. Benjamin Albright can't, but the vast majority
you didn't have to do him like that.
Albright throws a football like his shoulder was dislocated in the middle of his throwing motion. It's like at the beginning of his throwing motion, right up here, Ben's labrum just tore. It was just cooked. It was oh God. And then in the process of that, he had a stroke. That's kind of like how I would describe Benjamin Albright's throwing motion. But most people can probably make those throws.
I can't condone that.
What's up, man? Thank you so much for joining us. All right. So Pat, here we're gonna level off a little bit. I know we started on a high note. You're the Bo Nix guy. You followed with him, the last few years of his career.
Yeah.
Legitimately, what are things to get excited about? So again, don't get too excited about anything physical that he's doing at this point. Honestly, even at 7-on-7s, don't put too much stock into 7-on-7s. They exist to make the offense look good, to get the offense clicking. So if we're not going to be too worried about that, Pat, what are the things that Bronco fans legitimately should be excited about that aren't 5-yard outs against no defense?
Well, I think the biggest thing that Broncos fans should be excited about is just the stuff between the ears. We talked about it on the last episode about how offensive installs go, how play calls are designed in the Sean Payton system. We all saw the Chase Daniel video where he showed the offensive install from Sean Payton's Saints and how detailed that was. And that was a massive book. That is like the epitome of what you want in a quarterback. You just want a guy who's just going to be a nerd, honestly, who's going to his life just revolves around football, and just being a good quarterback and understanding the offense. All the reports that we have heard from rookie minicamp were that he was very much in control of the offensive install. He was managing the play calling well. Sean Payton called him he said it was like watching a good golfer. And yeah, man, I think that's probably the best compliment that you could give a quarterback. I said that on, another show today, but like, that's the best compliment that you can give a quarterback. Think about going out with your buddies. And one of your buddies is a really good golfer, like, not like pro, not like he's going to be on the tour next week, but like, he's a really good golfer. He's put in hours of practice. And I actually do have a friend who's like this, who watches YouTube videos. He was a terrible golfer. And then like spent 3 months just studying. And all of a sudden he's like playing in pro-am tournaments. That's kind of like, that's what that is like.
What
like,
you're telling me is I need to go out and practice my throwing motion more and kind of get myself caught up.
I think you're about 16
and then
years
I'll be
behind on Bo Nix,
a camp invite, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe.
You've seen my video, Patrick. I can make every throw.
Well, I've also played with you in real life.
Here we go.
I'm not going to say it. I'm not going to say it.
Okay, Pat.
But
okay,
no,
Pat, it's not my fault that you don't run crisp routes, okay?
Wow.
I throw the ball to a spot, and if you don't run a good enough route, then the ball will not be in your spot. So it's kind of on you, dog. You know what it's like?
I'm pretty sure I was telling
it's a lot like it's a lot like when Peyton Manning came to join the Denver Broncos, and he would tell guys like run 12 yards and in, 12 yards and in. And the guys would run, 14 yards. Ball would be in the dirt. Same place every time. So the problem isn't the throw, Patrick. See, the problem is the route. Really quick, just because, Glenn is going to bombard us here. First of all, Glenn, if I'm slapping into a Slim Jim, it's not Stone Cold Steve Austin. Okay? That's the Macho Man Randy Savage. Yeah, and I get like the glasses are similar, but like the shirt is Stone Cold Steve Austin, man. Like, you're getting your wrestlers mixed up. If you want to be part of the show, Glenn, if you want me to put your text into the show, step your freaking game up. You sound like idiot.
You sound like the guy from The Other Guys. Her name is Christina. You come to my house, you say my wife's name right. So you sound like, but
just be like, Glenn is such a comedian. Let's give Glenn his 15 seconds of fame.
Let's reel.
And then we got a question from Mundungus, which is better, Mario and Coyote shirtless on the pod, or the bearded blur on a scooter at Empower? In case you're wondering, the bearded blur is Mundungus. And here's the thing, Pat. As much as I want to say that it's you and I shirtless, I think quite simply a lot of people aren't ready for that. A lot of people would feel emasculated. They would feel some sort of way about that. So as a whole, I think seeing the bearded blur, Mundungus Creevy, on a scooter at Empower, easily the correct answer. And there's also, the possibility that he falls and it would be hilarious. It's much more, the entertainment value is there. I agree with everything that you're saying. I agree with everything that you're saying about Bo Nix. And we've touched on it. Like, if you're new to the show, if this is the first time that you're joining us, this is the one constant that Pat and I have talked about when it comes to Bo Nix. And this is the reason that we got excited. It's like our knee-jerk reaction when they drafted Bo Nix, not ideal. Then the more that you hear about it, where the process that they went through, everything that Sean Payton made him do, how multiple quarterbacks were saying that the Broncos and Sean Payton were the most difficult meeting that they had to endure during the draft process. They've done their due diligence. They've done everything that they need to do to wean out all of the quarterbacks. And we all know, like, JJ McCarthy was there for the taking. A lot of Bronco fans, myself included, I think yourself included as well, Patrick. We had JJ McCarthy higher on our boards. We thought that was going to be the guy for the Denver Broncos, and they had a chance. They quite simply chose Bo Nix over JJ McCarthy. And the number one reason that you do that is because of the mental processing, because of what he's able to do between the ears. And here's the thing. You and I were talking about some other old school Oregon quarterbacks, right? We talked about some guys maybe back in the day who maybe didn't have like the best physical attributes, but were so smart and so quick with the football, went through their reads so well. My boy, God, what was it? What was it? Joey Harrington, Junior Harrington, Joseph Harrington.
Joey
Was he a junior or was he just a regular guy?
Joey Harrington is a Oregon legend, Central Catholic, Portland, Oregon legend. But yeah, that dude was electric in college. Like you said, not overly like physically gifted. Dan Fouts is another Duck legend, but Joey Harrington.
Fouts was in the Waterboy.
He was good pull. Also, I believe he's the only Oregon quarterback to ever play in a Super Bowl. Could be wrong on that.
For now,
I'm pretty sure.
For now.
Yeah, for now.
Here's the thing.
Justin Herbert is up next.
The reason that I bring up Joey Harrington, not that it's a direct comparison, okay?
No,
but I want to
illustrate
this. No. But listen to my point, okay?
I got you.
People are getting so hung up on, oh, well, what about the arm strength? What about this? What about that? Can he make every throw? Is the arm strength a problem? Here's the thing. When you throw with anticipation, when you are on your marks, when you're going through your reads, it's like, how often do you really think that a quarterback is throwing the ball 70 yards downfield on a dot? Like, it looks really good at the combine. It looks really good for your workouts. But Pat, the only time that you're throwing the ball 70 yards downfield is you're Michael Vick and you have Deshaun Jackson and it's the first play of the game and you just run right past the entire defense, or it's a Hail Mary. I'm not trying to get all caught up in that. I mean, shoot, forget Joey Harrington, okay? Did Peyton Manning ever have the strongest arm that you have ever seen? Did Peyton Manning ever make a throw, just load up and make a throw that just made your jaw drop? No. And again, we're not drawing comparisons, but I'm trying to illustrate that having the strongest arm doesn't matter. And it works in both ways. The strongest arm by far in this draft, Pat, Joe Milton.
I mean,
that dude should never sniff an NFL field ever.
No.
He's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. Like, the videos that he puts out are fantastic. But that is his future, is kind of like destroying. He could be a YouTube guy where he just makes fun throws and does backflips and does his little gunshot things and stuff like that. Circling back, the point of the matter, the fact of the matter is that you do not have to have this yoked up monster arm like a Josh Allen or like a Patrick Mahomes in order to be successful. So if that was one of the things that you are concerned with, you don't need to be concerned with it. Anything else before we move on, Pat?
I mean, I think that like the talk about his like arm strength, I don't understand where that's coming from, because is it coming from this whole thing about him only throwing like, oh, he only threw screens and short throws? Is that where that's coming from? Because I've watched this dude throw from the right hash 30-yard line to the opposite hash 40, like the number, hash to outside number on a rope. His arm strength is not a problem at all. That's a big boy throw. And with people coming into his, with people crashing down in the pocket, he made that throw. Why are we talking about arm strength? Did you guys not watch him? Did you just look at the numbers of, oh, he only threw X amount of throws in between 1 and 5 yards? Did you not watch every single throw that this guy has? Some stupid throws. Go just turn on the Bo Nix 2023 highlight, just the highlights. Just throw on the highlights. You'll see about 6 or 7 throws that make you go, holy fucking shit. Like, how did he get that ball in there? There's about 6 or 7 of them.
This might be a children's program.
It's not a children's program.
You need to chill out with that.
Enough with the like arm strength questions. Just because this dude was asked to throw short passes Guess what? It's the offensive scheme. As a quarterback, are you going to do what your offensive scheme asks you to do? Or are you going to say, nah, screw that. I'm not going to throw the short pass that is open that I'm supposed to be hitting. I'm going to go for the deep shot every time. Why? Because I'm Mario Vitanzi, and I'm only going to tell my top receiver
And
to
you
run
do not
those
have
in
an
post.
arm strength problem if you're Mario Vitanzi throwing the football. Listen,
That's
man.
the whole thing.
I'm glad that you brought that up. All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna bring up Patrick Mahomes, even though I hate that Kermit sounding motherfucker. Okay. But the reason I'm gonna bring him up is because his average depth of target this past year, really ever since Tyreek Hill was traded.
I know exactly where you're going with this. Tell him.
My man, it was, if I remember correctly, it was less than half of what it had been. If you go back and watch Patrick Mahomes' highlights from last year, all the crazy shit that he did when Tyreek Hill was in town, where he just loaded up and he actually was hucking the ball 70 yards downfield, or he's coming crossbody and he's throwing with his eyes closed and behind his butt and whatever else it was. He didn't do any of that last year. He had maybe a couple of throws that went, 40, 50 yards? But they were very few and far between. Go look at his spray chart during the Super Bowl, really during the last two Super Bowls. I don't think that he completed a pass in the air that went further than 20, 25 yards. The fact of the point is, like you said, if the scheme is there, which if you believe in Sean Payton, then you know that the scheme is going to be there. Then all you need is the guy to run the scheme. And the question is, do you believe that Bo Nix is that guy? And that leads us into this question. Mason and Denver's dad, where do you see us finishing in this division? And I really like this question because we honestly have no idea. I'm kind of at the point now, Pat, where I'm certainly not prepared to say that they remotely win the division. But if you told me at the end of the season that they finish second, I would say, yeah, okay. They surprised some people. That's cool. But if you told me they finished dead last by a handful of games, I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. So much of it is going to depend on Bo Nix when he starts, if it's the beginning of the season, if it's midway through the season, and how quickly he's able to find a groove in Sean Payton's offense. It's so hard to project these things because we simply don't know. Like if you had asked a typical Texans fan going into last season, sure, they're going to be excited about CJ Stroud, but realistically, a lot of their fans figured they weren't going to be very good. And then they exceeded every single solitary expectation. Now, for every 2 times that happens, 20 times it goes in the opposite direction, where you think that your team is going to do really well with a young quarterback and it completely sputters, a la Drew Lock going into the 2020 season, and plenty of other examples that we don't necessarily need to bring up right now.
No.
Any closing thoughts on the Bo Nix situation? I think we covered it pretty much, Pat. Anything else you want to get in there?
You mentioned Patrick Mahomes, and I just wanted to bring this up because obviously the whole short pass thing was a topic of conversation. Patrick Mahomes in 2020 on throws from 0 to 9 yards, 78.2% completion percentage, 11 touchdowns, 1 interception. On deep throws, that's 20 plus, 35.6% completion percentage, 13 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. The last 3 seasons, he has not thrown for more than 10 touchdowns on deep passes. He has thrown in 2021, he threw 18 touchdowns on short throws. In 2022, he threw 20 touchdowns off of short throws. 3 were deep. And last season, 13 touchdowns on throws from 0 to 9 yards. 1 touchdown of 20 more yards. Are we still concerned about throwing short? Patrick Mahomes had to fix that after Tyreek left because they didn't have the same deep threat. And instead of him regressing, he progressed.
Yeah.
He got better. He got so much better. So this whole aspect of, well, he only throws he only throws short passes. What if Yeah, no shit.
That's all.
That's
That's pretty much
fine.
all Mahomes has done the last 2 seasons.
That's what you want.
It's what
Oh
it
my
is.
God. It's almost like if you're a good enough quarterback to really, really hammer those short throws, if you can get the short throws, it's almost like the intermediate and the long stuff open up because they think that you're going to throw the ball short. So then they creep up to the line of scrimmage. And then, welcome to the new show, Football Play Calling 101. I am your teacher, Coach Patrick Chiotti. Holy shit, people. Like, it's not that difficult to understand. If the guy's good at throwing short passes, that's not a bad thing. Drew Lock was not good at throwing the short passes. Paxton Lynch was not good at throwing the short passes. All these other guys were not good at throwing the short passes. Now we have a guy who excelled at it, and people wanted to knock him for it. But his arm strength isn't an issue. I can promise you. It's really not.
100%. Before we move on, question for you guys. Is sack a quarterback stat?
50-50.
It's kind of an open-ended question, right? It's like
50-50.
it's never 100% on the quarterback in the grand scheme of things. Never 100% on the quarterback, never 100% on the line. I think when you're making these discernments of what kind of stat it is, like it just has to be chalked up as a team stat, right? How many sacks did you give up? And then when you're cutting the film, you can maybe dive into like, okay, well, the left tackle got beat on this play that kind of led to the sack. Well, the quarterback, kind of he bailed out of the pocket before he could step up into it, kind of rolled himself into a sack. So it's interesting that you bring this up because one of the things that Patrick and I are convinced is going to be much better next year is total sacks taken. It's something that Sean Payton has talked about. And if you look back, and we've talked about this as well, Pat, but I'm going to say it again because it bears repeating.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson had such bad pocket presence last year. He was so bad with his awareness of like where he was in the field. He was so bad at stepping up into the pocket. He convinced people that our offensive line was not good. Listen, not only was our offensive line good, by every advanced metric, they were a top 10 unit. Mm-hmm. So in this case, in a situation like that, the vast majority of the stats, and the interesting thing, like there are advanced analytics. Like if you really want to dive into it, there are nerds who have never stepped foot on a football field who will tell you how many sacks are on a quarterback and how many sacks are on an offensive line. And Pat, if I remember correctly, it was something like 65 to 70% of the sacks that Russell took last year were his own fault. Like they were a result of Russell Wilson and not the offensive line.
Well, it wasn't that high, but it was quite a bit.
You're right. It was higher. It was 90%. 90% of the sacks here. 100%. Every single solitary sack that he took was his own damn fault. He deserved it.
Jeez, he deserved it. I think that
from my lat hurt, but I wanted to play anyway.
Oh, jeez. From my perspective, sacks can be a quarterback sack. Sacks can be a quarterback stat when a couple of things occur. Thank you. My Hooked on Phonics is actually right next to me. So when is a sack the quarterback's fault? Anytime that the play goes to 3 seconds and the ball is not out, that is no longer the offensive line's responsibility. Every good offensive coordinator tells their quarterback, hey, 1, 2, 3, ball's out. Ball's not out, you're gone. Right? So when you're watching games, count to 3. When the ball's snapped, count to 3 in your head. 1, 2, 3. Is the ball out? Is he still in the pocket?
And honestly, Pat, that's in eternity.
Yes.
In the NFL, 3+ seconds, 3 to 4 seconds is an eternity. Everything above 4 is a lifetime.
That also ties into the whole thing about mental processing, like what Bo Nix was talking about in his pressers. How fast can you process information, right? Another area where sacks are a quarterback stat is did they leave the pocket too early? Did they put themselves in a compromised position? If the answer is yes, sacks on them. When it's not a quarterback stat, like you said, left tackle gets beat, center gets beat, they bring pressure, that kind of stuff. There's not really a whole lot they can do against that, right? But that is also a quarterback stat, because they're the ones who are supposed to call the protection and see the pressure, yada, yada, yada. So is it a quarterback stat? Yes and no. There's just certain situations where it definitely is. In Russell Wilson's case, I believe the last 2 years, he has owned the majority of the responsibility. He was the highest in the league, in the NFL, among all
in terms
starters.
of how many sacks were his fault?
Yes, I believe it was about 25% of all the sacks were on him, and that's way higher. It's very, very high. So let me just take another look here again, just to be sure. Yeah, still all on him. He had 45 sacks. So 16 of those were his fault. That's a lot.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
My name's Patrick, and I look up stats while I'm doing a sports show.
Well,
thanks, guys.
Somebody's got to do it.
Jair, I'm not glad that Jeudy is off the team. Obviously, we're glad that Russell is gone. It just didn't work. You had to move on. I think it's a real shame that it never worked out with Jerry Jeudy. Like, I know Jerry, I've gotten to work on him. He's an awesome dude. He's a phenomenal athlete. I hope that he finds. I hope he's in a place where he can succeed. I always really liked Jerry, and it just felt like Denver was just never the right place for him. And I mean, honestly, we'll kind of see if he can right the ship, if Cleveland is the place where he needs to be in order to excel. But I'm not going to say that I'm glad that he's off the team necessarily, because the natural ability and the talent is there. As for us, like, yeah, dog, good riddance.
Shout out to, I don't know if you did already, but Dakota for the $20.
Thank you so much, Dakota.
Thank you.
Really appreciate you. That's so awesome. Definitely the best viewer that's in this live show right now.
Am I happy that Jeudy's gone? No, I'm actually not. I really would have liked to see Jeudy with this quarterback. I think, like, with Bo's accuracy, especially on short throws. Do you remember the time when you had Jerry Jeudy in your office and I was there?
Yes, I was there.
I was like, Jerry, what's your favorite route to run? And he was like, a slant. And I was like, oh, that's a weird question. Or that's a weird answer. I really wasn't expecting that one. But man, like, now that I think about that, man, Bo Nix is really good at throwing slants. Oh man, it would be nice to have Jeudy, but I am happy that Jeudy is in a different spot, in a different position. I don't know about his fit with the Browns. I really do hope that he kills it. I think that they have a loaded wide receiver room. He's going to have to compete with guys like Elijah Moore and Amari Cooper and Tillman. So I really do hope that he balls out. But yeah, man, I kind of wish we sent him to Miami. Honestly, that would have been a lot of fun. Him and Waddle and Hill. And
Tua and him and Tua kind of reunited. That would have been
fun. Man, like, that would have been crazy. But
hey, shout out to Terry the stripper right here, man. We love you so much, Terry. We're so glad that you're supporting us, Gary. It's so great that you're taking the time out of your busy schedule. And it's crazy. Like, I love that we're getting $10 because we are 100% getting those in dirty ass singles that were in Terry's G-string. Like, absolutely. I don't want it, Terry. I don't want it, Terry. No, bro, we appreciate you. We love you, man. Hopefully we get to see you soon. All right. Transitions are weird, so we're just going to go ahead and pivot and talk about something completely different here, Pat. The 2021 draft, for all the grief and all the shade and all the shit that people like to give George Payton, and I'm not saying that it's not justified. That 2021 draft was really, really good. I mean, you remember, Pat, there were a lot of people, honestly, myself included, that were not upset about the Pat Surtain pick. There were people that were upset about it at the time. I was confused because if you remember at the time, they had Bryce Callahan on the roster. They had just signed Ronald Darby. They had just signed Fuller. And so I'm thinking, okay, like Pat Surtain is a stud.
Yeah.
We have 3 what we thought were really good corners on the roster right now. Why are we taking this guy? It was an odd thing. It's like I wasn't the biggest Justin Fields fan, but it's like, man, we really needed a quarterback. He looks so good at Ohio State. Like, maybe we'll see what happens.
Right.
And now Justin Fields is a backup to a bad quarterback in Pittsburgh. And Pat Surtain is not arguably the best cornerback in the entire NFL. And then you go to Javante, like they traded up for Javante. People feel some sort of way about that, Pat. But we haven't really seen prime Javante since 2021. I think this will be a really telling year for him in terms of what happens. And then in that 3rd round, my God, Pat, was there a sexier round in recent Broncos history than the 2021 3rd round? Baron Browning and Quinn Miners. Like anybody who pays attention to the Senior Bowl, Quinn Miners is exactly the reason that you want to watch the Senior Bowl. Nobody knew who the F this dude was. He was just like a big white boy with dirty-ass dreadlocks and his stomach hanging out. And there's all these viral videos showing up how during COVID he's just pushing over fucking trees. And he gets drafted out of Wisconsin Whitewater in the 3rd round. And so any Bronco fan that didn't watch the Senior Bowl or wasn't familiar, they got to be like, what the hell is going on? And again, Pat, at that time, it was kind of a confusing pick. I loved Quinn Miners. I didn't know if he would be any good. I just knew that he would be marketable as hell. But at the time, they had Graham Glasgow and Dalton Reisner. Now, say what you want about them, but they were solid to average guards, okay? They were incumbents. And so it was another one of those picks where you're like, okay, I like it, but he's not going to play right away. Like, why did we do this? And now Quinn Miners, if he continues on this trajectory, might end up being the highest paid guard in the league at this time next year. And my boy, Baron Browning. Oh, Lord have mercy, Pat. Wait until we get a full season of healthy Baron Browning because, my God, that man is poetry in motion. I want to tell you a quick story about Baron Browning really quick. When I used to work on Calvin Anderson, he and I were really close, and I would talk to him about how camp was going, and this was obviously a couple of years ago. So this would have been Baron's 2nd season in the league when he switched to edge. Rookie year, he kind of played middle. The very year that he switched to edge, and a lot of people are like, man, like he's this hyper athletic middle linebacker. Like maybe he can blitz a little bit from the middle. He's going to be so good in this Fangio defense. He's the Kelsey buster, right? So there's some people confused why they moved him to edge. And I asked Calvin about it. I was like, how is he doing with that transition? He's like, Mario, come here. Let me tell you something. This man looks exactly like Von Miller. There are only 2 people that I've ever seen do these things, Von Miller and Baron Browning. And that's my story about Baron Browning. We move on, and they get Jonathan Cooper, in the 7th round because of that weird heart condition thing. Easily could have been a day 2 pick. And Caden Stearns. And I know Caden hasn't had the best luck with injuries, but man, when that dude is on the field, he's invaluable. He's indispensable. He's unbelievable. In fact, another quick little story, when they drafted Caden Stearns, because they also drafted, you're going to have to help me with the name, Pat. Was it Jalen Johnson? Not Jalen Johnson. Jamar Johnson. Yep. So they took 2 safeties that year. It was Caden Stearns and Jamar Johnson.
Which I was very confused.
I remember asking Justin, the safety, the Broncos safety, what he thought about these 2 guys. He's like, man, Caden Stearns is going to be really, really good. He goes, I don't like to be that guy that's ever like, oh, he's like me or whatever. But he said, in terms of how he plays, how he understands the game and his natural feel for everything, he's like, he's as close to me as you're going to get. So if you're looking for something to soften the Justin Simmons blow, and I am, because nothing has helped. And Chris Abrams-Drain getting number 31 really hurt me deeply.
Yeah.
But if you're looking for something to kind of like lull you into a sense of security with all of that, keep in mind that Justin Simmons himself had said that Caden Stearns was the most like him. Why are we bringing up the 2021 class, Pat? Well, it's because this time next year, all of these guys will be due new contracts. And now it's time to pay the piper.
Not Pat.
Now it's time to decide who do you keep and who do you let walk. Now, obviously, we're going to start with Pat Surtain, but he has the 5th-year option, and so they don't necessarily have to get something done. But, Pat, I wish they would just pay him now because the longer they wait, the more his price tag is going to go up.
Well, you asked me for real quick. You asked me if I could think of a draft round in recent years that I liked better than this one. And honestly,
no, I said one that was sexier.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
We're talking about sex appeal.
The cottage cheese 3rd round of the 2023 NFL draft, Drew Sanders and Riley Moss. Can't get any sexier than that. No, they need to, come on, cottage cheese 3rd round. That's a good joke.
I'm so stupid.
I practiced that outside for 30 minutes. No, Pat Surtain with a box of scraps. Pat Surtain definitely deserves to get paid. And I really hope that he does. We need it to happen. And this, it needs to happen sooner rather than later because of the Antoine Winfield contract that just happened. He's getting 84 million, 84.1 million over 4 years, 45 million guaranteed. They need to get that done now because I believe Jair Alexander is the top paid cornerback.
As of now, I think you're right. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's him and Denzel Ward up there at 21 and 20. Jaylen Ramsey is also at 20. Marlon Humphrey, 19.5. Trevon Diggs did get 19.4. So we could really, right now, a reset of the market, which should be Pat Surtain, should be around 20, maybe 23, 24 million a year. Is it?
That's if you do it. I think that's if you do it right now, Pat.
Yeah.
See,
yeah. And that's it has to happen right now. It's not gonna.
If you wait until next season, and again, maybe their mindset is, you know what, we picked up the 5th-year option. We still technically have 2 seasons to get this done. Maybe they're not in a hurry, but here's the thing, man. For all intents and purposes, for everything that we have seen from Patrick Surtain, he's the best cornerback in the league. He's top 2, he's top 2 and he's not 2. The longer that you wait, if Pat just continues to play as well as he has, if he just stays on an even trajectory, the price is going to go up every year because that's how the market works. Yeah. If he continues to get better, which he has every single year, then the price tag is going to go up exponentially.
Yep.
So maybe it's a situation where they're wanting the Russell Wilson contract to be completely off the books before they enter into another one of these monster contracts, Pat. That's the only thing that I can think of because outside of that, man, just lock the dude up. Yeah. You know what I'm doing? I'm walking into Pat Surtain's house. Kick the door down. Actually, no, because that's not how we start negotiations. Knock very delicately on the door. I get down on my knees and say, Mr. Surtain, here's the deal.
Whoa.
We want you. Oh, don't make it like that, man. Okay. It's strictly.
I'm not the one who said they would get on their knees.
Strictly business on the knees here, okay? We only do 2 things on our knees, and one of them is praying, okay? And so we're praying that Pat Surtain takes this deal. That's what we're doing on our knees, in case anybody is wondering. We get on our knees, we put our hands together like this. We say, please, Mr. Surtain, we want you here forever. We never want you to leave. We're going to sign you to a 10-year, let's call it $10 million contract.
11 million a year? You think he's going to play for 11 million a year?
I think if you just focus on the 110 million part and you just front load it a lot. What if you make it fully guaranteed? What if you
Oh,
give him
110 million guaranteed. 100 million guaranteed.
That's really bad math. I meant 200 million.
Jesus.
10 years, 200 million. 20 million a year. So per year, less than the top guys. He's locked in for 10 years. Maybe you front load the contract. You make 60 of it guaranteed, 70 of it guaranteed, Pat. Does he say no? Like
70 or 80 million.
Vibe with me on this. Okay. The way that the Kansas City Chiefs structured Patrick Mahomes' contract. Because when you saw that the $500 million number when they first signed him, over the course of 10 years, that's a massive number, right? But now when you're looking at it, right, year to year, he's not even a top 5 paid quarterback. Yeah. And obviously they can restructure and they can get stuff done. Why not give Patrick Surtain that same kind of contract? So then year to year, you're saving, you're backloading out of like shit. Give him a Bobby Bonilla contract, okay? Instead of Bobby Bonilla Day, can we just have a Patrick Surtain Day? Can we just extend Patrick Surtain's contract for 30, 40 years so that
so his family's taken care of?
On 2/2, on February 2nd of every year, 2/2, that he gets his next installment of payments until he's all done. And by the time we reach to 2042, or 2052, Pat Surtain will be all paid off and we'll be good to go. And every single year on February 2nd, we are celebrating Patrick Surtain Day. Bottom line, they just got to resign him. I don't give a fuck what it looks like, Pat. They need to fucking resign him.
Imagine they don't win a Super Bowl during that time. Imagine if they don't do that. You know how stupid that would look? Oh my God. No, I like what you're thinking. He's a legacy player at this point. I mean, he's only 24 years old. He's going to be 25 next year. He's entering the prime. Realistically, I think that we're looking at a 5-year extension. Probably somewhere in the neighborhood. If it happened tomorrow, I think it would be somewhere in the neighborhood of like 5 years. Let's call it like 5 years, 102 million, right? And I'm just looking at like the guaranteed money because that's the big thing. What is this team's identity? Sorry, I'm reading the comment that just happened. So Denzel Ward and Jaylen Ramsey have the 2 largest contracts for cornerbacks by size in the NFL right now. Denzel Ward signed for 100.5 million. Jaylen Ramsey was 100 million flat. Both of those guys got over 70 million guaranteed. 71 million guaranteed over that for both of them. And both of them received over 43 million fully guaranteed, right? So there's guarantees that are worked into the contract, and then they have the amount of those guarantees that is fully 100% you're getting them. I would say right now you're looking in the neighborhood of like, between 102 to 105 million, 5 years, with probably around 75 million total guaranteed. That would be the number that I would go to. Yeah, right there. That absolutely.
Find a hole and slap it.
75. If I'm George Payton right now, I'm sending them 105 million over 5 years, 75 guaranteed. Let's get this done. The max that you go to is probably like 110 million over those 5 years. And then like 80 million guaranteed. It's not like they can't afford it. They can definitely afford it. But definitely like front load that contract, pay him through his prime. So then you make that cap hit down the road when he's allegedly out of his prime of reaching the 29, 30 seasons. That it's a lesser hit. So you can move off of him if you need to, whatever, give yourself some cap relief, whatever. Right. That's the deal I would go to right now. If the deal is anywhere close to that and his team said no, they're holding out for more, which I completely respect. That's fine.
He's been
very dominant over his short career. He's only going to get better. This is an opportunity for you to lock in. Think about if you were the Washington, not going to say their names, okay? And we're going back to 2002.
The football team. The football team.
The Commanders.
The football team.
The name
They're
that
still
used
football
to be,
team to me.
Okay.
They're
And
always football team.
You look at, should we trade Champ Bailey for this running back who was really, really good? Running backs last forever, don't they?
Forever.
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
They last forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do it.
Yeah.
Good deal.
Let's do it.
Do it.
I think that all the guys in the front office back then, probably if it was today, they'd laugh at that deal. They would not make that deal. Do you know how hard it is to come across elite cornerback play? It's really fucking hard. And
it's damn near impossible, especially consistency, Pat. Consistently year in and year out to produce is even more rare. Real quick, Mason and Denver's dad, I just wanted to put that up because I want to let you know we saw it. We are absolutely going to get to that. In fact, we're going to close the show with that question. That's a really good question, but we want to get through the rest of these impending free agents for 2025.
Yeah.
Next up, and we'll run through these really quick.
Pat, we want you. Pat, stay a Bronco, please. From one Pat to another.
Pat, I will work on you for free, okay? And it would be really shitty if you didn't pay me because, you're about to make $100 million. But I will do that.
You're talking about me.
I will make that sacrifice for Broncos country to just stay here, okay? And then maybe I can, crowdsource and have people donate to my fund for doing that if that happens.
Your child's college
anyway,
fund?
Move on.
Yeah.
the next draft pick we want to talk about, and we'll run through these really quick, Pat. But Javante Williams looked phenomenal as a rookie. Obviously, got hurt his second year, and his third season this past year. You could tell he should have started on IR. He should not have played week one. You saw glimpses of rookie Javante Williams, but it was few and far between. Man, like he became a plotter. It just seemed like he didn't have that burst and that quickness. But I firmly believe that he's going to get back to his rookie self. Let me tell you a little bit about injuries, since this is my area of expertise. When you have an injury, especially the degree that Javante Williams had, and it keeps you out for as long as it does, and you're the kind of athlete like Javante where you're not just big, you're not just fast, you're not just powerful, but you're quick. Like your lateral movement is maybe like you shouldn't be as laterally quick as he is for his size. So when you have an injury like that and you are expected to move the way that he does, the reason that it takes so long to get back to normal is because that entire offseason, the rest of that season and that entire offseason, he's rehabbing to the point where the rehab should not have been done by the time he had it done. Yeah, he's an absolute freak. Like, Pat, the fact that he was on that field, on an NFL field, playing professional football. Believe me, like, as an expert, like, this is my real job. Like, all of this isn't just like fun shit that I get to do because I want to entertain you all and give. No, in my real job, in my professional opinion, this shit's crazy. That never, ever, ever should have happened.
No, he
would have been lucky to walk the same again. Okay, the fact that he was playing professional football is astounding, but he should not have started the year week one. They should have let him get all the way better. They should have waited till week 5, week 6, and they should have eased him into it. They threw him into the deep end, and we saw the result. That being said, again, I think Javante Williams will be much closer to where he was because last offseason, it was all rehab. This offseason, it's all training. The two are vastly different. When you hear people say, oh, well, Pat, it takes 2 years to come back. Why is that? I'll tell you why. Because the season after you get hurt, especially if it's towards the end of the year, that entire offseason you're rehabbing. You are not training for the sport that you play. You are not training for the position that you play. You are recovering your body to then get to the next step of being able to train. That is why it takes guys 2 years oftentimes to get back. This is going to be the second year for Javante. But with all that being said, the fact that I think that Javante will be back to his old self, and I think that they're going to ride him till the wheels fall off, I don't foresee a scenario where you drafted Audric Estime, you have Jaleel McLaughlin, you signed Blake Watson, all of whom kind of fit exactly what Sean Payton wants to do with his running backs. I don't know if it's feasible to extend a running back. Because here's the thing. If Javante has a really good year, which I think is a very real possibility, if he rushes for over 1,000 yards and he gets double-digit touchdowns, let's say. Nothing crazy, but certainly noteworthy. Certainly obtainable if we are a run-heavy offense, which I think we will be. I think he's priced himself out in terms of what you want to pay for a running back. That's what I hope happens, because then it means he had a great year and he's going to get paid. And I do hope it's here. Like, I love Javante, but I just don't see this team drafting an Audric Estime and re-signing Javante next year. That move felt like, he's going to be the guy that takes over for Javante next season. It's like either Javante looks really good and he prices himself out, he looks about as good as he did last year, he struggles again, and then they're not going to want him back, or he's somewhere in between, and it's like, maybe they bring him back if it's a cheap deal, but I'd be willing to bet that another team is going to offer him more money.
I have one rule and one rule only. Kind of like Batman. Don't pay running backs.
You're going to make me break my one rule.
You're going to make me break my one rule. No, you're not. Don't pay running backs. I love Javante.
Just showed you that it's ready to believe in good.
It's ready to believe in good. Yeah, just don't pay. I think that Javante is. I think Javante is going to come back. I really hope he comes back hard. Pause. But I think. I just think them drafting Estime and kind of putting, that emphasis of him being a first and second down back, I think it kind of spells the writing's on the wall for Javante, man. And it sucks because that's how the NFL kind of sees running backs. And it's even trickling into the draft. Why would I spend a first round pick on a running back? I can get two guys for the cost of one in the fourth and fifth round. No, I don't care. Use a top 10 pick on a running back. I fucking dare you. I dare you. I'll get two.
And the Lions and the Falcons are like, all right, bet. And the Falcons are like, you know what? I know we took this guy top 10, but we're going to give this Algier guy a bunch of carries too.
Well, it's fun. Only funny. It's only funny because the Falcons went, oh, you hated us for drafting a running back at 8? Wait until you see what we do this year.
Hold my beer. Hold my beer. We saw.
Wait a minute.
We saw.
I can do way worse.
We saw a left-handed black quarterback named Michael.
Jesus, Jesus, stop! No, not again. Not again with that. Oh my God.
It's not me, Pat. This was their draft strategy. Okay, I got a little peek behind the curtain. This is exactly what they said. It's not me. Next guy's up, the sexiest round in recent memory of the draft, Quinn Miners and Baron Browning. I'm going to get through this really quick. Quinn. I'm going to let you go off on Quinn. I'm going to make this really short.
We already talked about it. We already did.
Quinn. I'm saying if you want to talk more about either of them, everybody knows how I feel about Baron Browning. Everybody knows how I feel about Quinn Miners. Quinn could very well be the highest paid guard in the NFL. If not, he should be top 3, top 5 at the bare minimum. Baron Browning, like I said, I think he's going to have a full season healthy. He's another one of these guys where last offseason he was rehabbing. In fact, he had kind of this freak injury where he had to go get his knee cleaned up. He had actually partially tore a ligament in his knee at the San Francisco game. If you remember that game, what was that? That was the 11-10 game or something. And we beat the Niners and we're like, well, our offense doesn't look good, but maybe we're good. He had actually partially torn a ligament in his knee, allegedly. per reports, like during that game. And then finally during last offseason, while he was training, it kind of just fully went. So it was actually around this time last year, Pat, that Baron Browning had that surgery. It's why he missed like roughly the first half of the season last year. And then when he played, he did not miss a beat. So when we're talking about guys like how they need a year, like, or they need those 2 years to recover, Pat, Baron Browning did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Baron Browning stepped in, and I think it was his second game back, sacked Patrick Mahomes twice, forced a fumble, was one of the defensive player of the games, a big reason why the defense was so good and why they won.
Sir.
He did that like 6 months after knee surgery. Now, in the offseason we are in, he has done nothing but train. No rehabbing. It's all training.
Yeah.
This accentuates a player's skill level, okay? And I know he's doing this thing, and I'm going to try to get Baron on to talk more about this, but he's doing this new thing where you can invest in him, literally. And I recommend it. I got to go find out. I'm not even sure what this thing is called, but it's slowly building. I'll make sure to put it on my Twitter. You can literally invest like in players like their stocks. And Baron Browning is kind of like the spokesperson and the poster child for this new company. And I think it's because they realize that if you invest in Baron Browning and he performs and he exceeds expectations, which he's going to, then you can make a lot of money, just like if you had bought Apple back in 1986. Okay? So that's what I think about Baron Browning. You have to find a way to re-sign him. You have to find a way to re-sign Quinn Miners. Period.
Yeah.
Whatever you need to do, get it done.
Yeah, Quinn, I can't see Sean Payton, who has talked about nonstop about the emphasis of the run game and the emphasis of getting back to power football, just letting Quinn Miners, one of the best guards in football, walk. I just don't see that happening. I think he'll try to do everything he can to keep Quinn in the building. As for Baron and Jonathan Cooper, man, that's going to be really, really tough because the way that they've kind of drafted with this edge room, with Benito also going to come up in a couple of years, like, and who knows where he's going to be in 2 seasons. And then
when they took Jonah Ellis in the 3rd round this year,
Jonah Ellis, like one of Baron Browning, Jonathan Cooper is not going to be a Denver Bronco after this season.
More than likely, yeah.
I don't want it to be that way. I wish we could keep both of them because I love both of those guys. I think Jonathan Cooper is such a high energy dude, but for his draft slot, and then, the contracts that come from that, maybe he takes a team friendly deal and maybe he sticks around. But if you're paying a dude,
you're probably not going to get one of those from a 7th round pick who has a chip on his shoulder.
And there's going to be teams out there that are going to be looking for pass rushers that are going to throw ridiculous money at a guy like that. So I just think like either one of Baron or Jonathan will be that guy that gets a freaking bag thrown at them. And they're like, hey man, like I gotta do what's best for me.
Maybe you re-sign one, you franchise tag the other, and you figure it out. But then if you franchise tag one of them, then you're dealing with him and Benito in the same year. So
no, because that's that franchise tag is going to be massive. When we think about all of the edge rushers that just got paid, I mean, fuck, man, Bosa just got $170 million. Like that's insane. Josh Allen just got $141.2 million. Brian Burns at 141. Like that's a ton of money. The franchise tag is going to be so inflated because of those contracts. And it's just going to be tough. Like one of those dudes is going to be gone and it's going to be rough. I wouldn't be surprised if one of those guys, if the team is kind of middle of the pack, if one of those guys is on the trading block, come the deadline, wouldn't surprise me in the least. I think Baron probably has a pretty high draft value according to maybe some teams out there. But yeah, man, like I wish they could keep both of them, but it's just not in the cards. And that's kind of the way that it is. It sucks. You don't want to see guys walk, but that's just the nature of the business, dog.
The last guy that we're going to talk about, Caden Stearns, and I mentioned him earlier. I told a story about
Who?
what Justin Simmons had said, and
I'm joking, Caden. Relax. Jesus.
I so badly
Get healthy.
want to see Caden Stearns healthy for an entire season because, again, man, when he is on the field, he has shown flashes of greatness. He has shown that he could really be a top tier safety in this league. He has the combo of like the ball skills, the intelligence, the physicality, everything that you want and need out of a safety. And so this season, obviously, a lot of it is going to depend on, is he on the field? Is he staying on the field? And if he is, and if he plays the way that he is capable of playing, he's going to be a starting safety this year and he's going to get paid. Now, maybe a team, like maybe hopefully the Broncos, it comes down to like, all right, you had a really good year. We want to make sure that it's sustainable now that you're staying on the field. You give him a 1-year prove it deal, kind of like what PJ Locke had done. You go out and prove it, and then you go sign your big extension. Like if I had to guess, I would say that's probably what it is. Now, we're going to play a situation where, or play a hypothetical where Caden Stearns is healthy and he has a good year. He has a really solid year and he balls out, right? This is the situation that we are talking about. This is exactly what you need because the safety room has a ton of question marks. Going into last season, you had Justin Simmons and Kareem Jackson on top of Caden Stearns, on top of PJ Locke. You lose not just two incredibly good safeties, one of which arguably the best safety in the NFL. You lose two leaders. You lose two captains. Regardless of play on the field, you lose two guys like that, and all of a sudden, Pat, that room is looking really scarce. Again, because that's where your leaders were. Two of the captains were in that safety room. You are desperate for somebody to step up and show you that good safety play, to give you what you need from that position. If Caden Stearns can do that, then I absolutely see a contract extension where he gets that money. Maybe not the Justin Simmons money right off the top because you'd like to see it for a sustained number of years. But again, maybe you sign him to a prove-it deal next year. You keep him around. And then if he balls out again, then you can start talking extension. But where this team is at with their safeties, it's a young room, Pat. It's a bit of an inexperienced room. Like, even the guys who are experienced aren't that experienced. So I think Caden really has a huge opportunity here to where if he stays healthy and if he produces, he can work himself into a really nice contract. So ideally, if he stays healthy, they've got to keep him around. It's too scarce at that position right now.
Let him go. Let him go. That's what I say. No, I'm kidding. I'm looking at the I'm looking at the 2025.
Why are you're just an angry man. Just a small angry man.
I'm looking at the 2025 free agents at safety. Jeremy Chin, Julian Blackmon, they lead that class. Man, either one of those guys would be beautiful. But that's pipe dream. Javon Holland, also free agent next year.
Oregon Duck.
Mind that. Sco Ducks. Yeah, I think if Caden just has to play, he just has to play good football and stay healthy. And if you can do that, you're gonna get your money. It's like I
got a good feeling, Pat.
You have to prove it.
Got a good feeling. I do. Prove it.
Like,
got such a good feeling about it.
PJ taking the deal that he did this year, remarkable, because he's betting on himself. He's betting on himself with this 1-year deal where he's not getting a ton of money. It's very incentive laden, and he's betting on himself and his play to get that extension, get that other contract. Caden has to keep that same mindset. If he can come out, stay healthy, ball out, you're going to get paid. You're going to get your money. Just stay healthy, bro. We know you can play, but you got to stay on the field.
Yeah.
That's all.
Last contract situation that we're going to talk about. Not someone from the 2021 class, but it is the most pertinent contract situation right now, and one that has Broncos country divided, Patrick. Like, I'm telling you, man, people are so intense about this because this half over here, these people on this side, they're like, yo, we got to resign. We got to extend Courtland Sutton. What are we doing? 10 touchdowns last year. Russ's go-to target. We got a rookie quarterback. He had the 50-50 balls to him are more like 70-30 balls. Why are we not taking back? And the people over this way, people over there, Patrick, they're like, oh, fuck that, man. No, we don't want anything to do with Courtland Sutton. He was Russ's best friend. We should just trade him. Trade him. So, first of all, hit us up in the comments and tell us what you think that they should do with Courtland Sutton. And if you want to explain yourself, like, please feel free. But Patrick and I are going to take you through it right now. God, you kind of looked like Russell Wilson just when I glanced over at you, like when he's doing the Danger Witch. That's kind of like the vibe that you have right now. You want to extend Courtland Sutton. And it is not unacceptable that he wants more money because I think he's like the 23rd highest paid wide receiver right now. His production doesn't necessarily match that. And let me tell you what, I feel like you can add on a year or two to his contract. You extend him, you get a little bit more, you make some of it guaranteed. I don't think he's asking for top 10 money. I don't even think he's necessarily asking for like top 12, top 15 money. Now, I'm not sure. I'm not in the rooms trying to discuss these things. But yeah, if the price is right, then you've got to bring him back. And let me explain to you why. What is the best draft pick that you can get for a Courtland Sutton right now? If you think it's a third, I think you're crazy. Because if a team had offered the Broncos a third-round pick for Courtland Sutton is not a current Denver Bronco. You have a rookie quarterback in Bo Nix. You need a safety net because as it stands right now, you don't have a whole lot going on at the tight end position. You hope and you pray to the football gods that Greg Dulcich' hamstring can hold up. But if it doesn't, you need a big body target. You need someone that you can rely on. Courtland Sutton needs to be that guy. Now, Pat, maybe it's a situation where they want him around for 1 year. They're like, we're not going to extend you. We're not going to give you more money. You're going to be here with Bo Nix. We know that you're not going to hold out because that does not benefit you whatsoever. You're going to play this year, and if you want to leave after this year, then you go ahead and leave. And then you face it that way. But I don't know, man. I've never been on the side of trading Courtland Sutton. I know that he, for some reason, gets a raw deal, but some of the stuff that we saw, like the amount of times that he bailed out Russell Wilson, when Russell Wilson decided to just throw the ball up to him, and Courtland Sutton just had to go get it. You're not telling me that you want a little bit of that with Bo Nix? My people listening. You're not telling me that that's not more valuable for a year or maybe two than what's probably a 4th-round pick at this point, maybe like a 5th and a 6th? Testify.
Are you done? Are you finished?
For now.
Okay. Let me ask you this. Do we think that Courtland Sutton is a better wide receiver right now than Mike Evans? No?
It's an open-ended question. I think Mike Evans has 1 more year in him, and I think Courtland Sutton has
do we think
4 or 5.
Do we think that Courtland Sutton is a better wide receiver than DJ Moore?
No.
Do we think that Courtland Sutton is a better wide receiver than Cooper Kupp?
Is it healthy Cooper Kupp or is it like 2023 Cooper Kupp?
Cooper Kupp.
Courtland Sutton had a better year than him last year.
I'm not going to give more guaranteed money to a receiver who's entering the years when typically these receivers start to trend down. And by that type of receiver, I mean the big body X type receiver. Do we all remember what happened when Michael Thomas got that massive contract from the Saints? You remember what happened? Fucking dropped.
The slant god? Well, hold up. Are you talking about the guy that half of Broncos country wants us to sign, even though we can't pass a G-damn physical? You mean that guy, Pat?
Not in my half of Broncos country. In my half Broncos country, we're fine. We're content with where the wide receiver room
Well,
is.
my half over here, all these people are telling me that they want to sign Michael Thomas, and I'm over here like, no, the F you don't.
No. If Courtland wants a new contract and Denver is not willing to give him a new contract and he's still under contract, play out your contract, dog. You had a great year with Russell Wilson. You bailed him out a ton. That's fantastic. You also had a ton of really, really bad drops and 2 fumbles in the Miami game that were 110% your fault. How many?
The Miami game didn't happen, Pat. Yeah. Everything that happened in the Miami game didn't happen. That was a fever dream, okay? Right. And if you're really going to use something that happened in that freaking game against anybody on that team, the game is thrown out. It didn't exist. It was a glitch in the matrix. It wasn't real.
Can I finish?
No. Now I'm mad.
My point is, yes, you had a great year. You had a fantastic year. Okay. It's your best year since your second season before the injury. That's fantastic. The team is saying, do it again. Do it again. You're the 23rd highest paid receiver in the league. And that's with the new contracts that came in. So before that, he was even higher. Okay. You're the 23rd highest paid receiver in the league. You're coming off your best season statistically since your second season when you were even better. Okay. Do it again. If you're that good, do it again. We'll offer you a deal.
What do you think about this? I'd like to make it incentive based. I know what you meant there, not insensitive. I'm going to make it incentive based. Do this, and we'll give you this. Sure. But will Courtland
Sutton, how it works.
Will Courtland Sutton sign that contract? Probably not. Players do not want to do incentive based, and we're getting to a time period where it's strictly all about the guaranteed money. This is like what we were talking about with Patrick Surtain earlier. At the end of the day, I'm just saying, at the end of the day, that's what every player is going to want. Especially since all the NFL players see how the NBA contracts are fully guaranteed, and they're seeing that Kirk Cousins is 86 years old and he's never won a playoff game getting guaranteed money all the time. That's what these guys want. They should absolutely strive for that. And if you can find a team to give you a fully guaranteed contract or give you a contract that's mostly fully guaranteed, then you absolutely take that. It's okay to want things. So if you were to sign an incentive-based deal, that would be fantastic. But we've just gotten to the point of professional sports where it doesn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, he was top 20.
That doesn't even exist in NIL, Pat.
His contract was top 20 NIL? That doesn't even guarantees.
It doesn't even happen in NIL. These college kids, these children, these teenagers are getting millions of dollars. It's not even incentive-based in college. It doesn't matter. They are. That's not even incentive-based. Incentive-based would be a wonderful thing if you could actually get someone to agree to it, where it's like, okay, you get X amount for every touchdown you catch. You get X amount for every yard that you get. You get X amount for every reception, for whatever. That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But that is not how athletes want to sign their contracts. We're in disagreement. I think this is the first time that we've ever disagreed. So it's the first time that I'm going to have to tell you that, unfortunately, you are wrong. I am right. That is the way of the world. My arms are bigger. I am taller. And we'll just put a nice little bow in this. Any closing statements? You know what's crazy, Pat? We've been doing the show for almost an hour and 20 minutes. You have not once plugged your other show. I'm so proud of you.
Technically, I did. I just didn't say the show.
Go ahead, plug it now. Give all the people, like, where can everyone find you? Who are you? Why are you so important?
Go follow my work. I'm not important, dude. I'm just some flub that lives in Portland, Oregon, who's talking about Broncos football.
In Ontario, Canada.
I just happen to know a lot of stuff about football. No, go follow my stuff at Patrick Quixote on Twitter. Go subscribe to another program that I'm on. Believe in the Broncos with Chris Harris Jr., former Denver Bronco and Super Bowl 50 champion. You can find that over on the Believe Network. Just type it into your search bar in Spotify or whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on, and give us a follow, give us a listen. We've got a lot of great shows, a lot of great stories on there. And yeah, that's all I got.
Beautiful. Make sure you follow me on Twitter at Vitanzi Therapy. We will do these shows every Tuesday night, unless we don't. Patrick, a fun little thing that I want to leave the people with. If you've been with us the whole time, we really appreciate it. Pat and I always try to have
Nuggets
short
game
shows, but
don't you have to go watch the Nuggets game?
We have a lot of really important things to talk about. I don't even think it's tipped off yet. It's fine. We're going to watch the second half. That's the most important part. Next week on Altitude Adjustment, the Ryan Edwards of KOA and the Sports Zoo with Dave Logan and Alfred Williams, our first ever guest. I have no idea how this is going to go. I might need to turn my Mario dial down just a few and just make sure that we put Ryan Edwards in the spotlight. So if you are a Ryan Edwards fan, and why on earth wouldn't you be? He's literally the greatest human that has ever existed. We will have that legend on our show next week. What's the name of the show? Altitude Adjustment at 8 p.m. Tuesday night. And it will be every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. unless we tell you that it's not. Last thing, if you want any dope ass gear, I should really write a tagline for this and not just wing it every time that I do it. If you want some really great Broncos gear that looks like it's homemade, it's a lot of fun, and some of it has to do with Bo Nix, make sure you check out altitudeadjustmentshop.com. Also, you see this gorgeous logo down over there in that corner? You can get shirts with that very logo on it. If you want to wear the names of other grown men on your chest, no one's going to judge you. That logo is dope as hell, so make sure you go ahead and do it. Now, if you do go to altitudeadjustmentshop.com and you want to buy one of the Bo Nix shirts that are up there, all you got to do is type in Bo Nix into the coupon thing area, and you will get 20% off of your order as long as it is a Bo Nix related shirt. This has been Altitude Adjustment. My name, of course, is Mario Vitanzi. That sexy bastard over there is Patrick Chiotti, and we will see you all next week. We love you. And from the Mile High Meatheads, bye-bye.
Hey, feel I'm in the mood for a switch up. I hit the function, hit the rose till I hiccup. I hit the stage and leave with money that's a sticker.